Thank you. Thank you. Did you win a medal? That's the question I've been asked for the last 33 years whenever someone learns that I went to the Olympics. From my first Olympics when I was just 18 and I came fifth, through my second Olympics where I trained for 4 years for a second chance and yet came fifth again, and ever since my third and final Olympics in my hometown of Sydney where I came 11th, I've been asked that question. And as you can tell, the answer will always have to be no. Now, people aren't asking me about my World Championship medals or my other international medals or any of my national titles. They are just boiling my entire swimming career down to what I didn't do with that one concise and excitedly asked little question when they learn I went to the Olympics. Did you win a medal? And I'll tell you, folks, it has sucked. I have hated answering that question. It was my dream to win an Olympic medal. My dream. And it's the one thing I worked so hard at and the one thing I never achieved. So with every asking of that question, it is like a knife in my heart and I feel like a disappointment all over again. A disappointment to myself and a disappointment to the person asking me. What am I meant to say? No, I'm not a medalist. I'm just a regular Olympian. Sorry. I have felt like a failure because I ingested all of society's messages about winning being all that counts. And I'm here to talk to you about how it's time for us to unlearn that winning is everything mentality and replace it with some healthier definitions of success, achievement, and failure. Because thinking that success only comes from winning can leave us feeling like we're never enough, can harm our mental health, and can actually hold us back from reaching our potential. Now, it's taken me 33 years, but I do believe I've finally put it in perspective. I did some great things. I was at the top of the game for almost a decade, and I can be proud of myself, even without reaching the pinnacle. Because I finally realized that there's lots of things people do that we can be proud of. Because I am really proud of my kids and my family and my friends, and they don't have Olympic medals. Well, some of my friends do have Olympic medals. But no, that really helped me see that this standard that I was setting for myself, that I had to have an Olympic medal, just didn't make any sense. But I understand that how I got here. Because we all learn from a very young age that winning is what counts. I'm sure you've heard the saying, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. What about second place is just the first loser? I could go on, but you get the message. Winning is an evolutionary imperative that has helped humans stay alive. And that is reinforced by it simply being what feels the best when we experience it. But it's also in the messages we get all around us every day from society that winning is the most important thing, whether it's the media or movies or professional sports coverage or college football. It's everywhere. It's in the way society rewards the top 1% versus those at just the next level down. So we've learned that winning is the most important thing. But for some of us, and here I'm talking about the competitive athletes, those of us that are intensely driven in other fields, those of us with perfectionistic tendencies, anyone? Maybe? And those parents that want their kids to achieve at the highest levels. We take those messages about winning being everything to an unhealthy level. And that's why I felt like a failure. But let's question this assumption that winning is the only thing. Let's think for a second about the runners-up or the other finalists in the race. Because would we even know how good the winners were if it weren't for them? Isn't it the runners-up and the other finalists that make it a competition, that make it exciting? Isn't it their tenacity and fight as they battle it out for the win that's in fact the reason we watch? I think it is. So we also know on some level that winning is not the only thing. And that's what the athletes, the perfectionists, and their parents and their coaches need to remember winning is not the only thing. And second place is not the first loser. They are not a loser at all. They are a valiant competitor that just didn't win that day. So if you ever meet an elite athlete, an Olympian, an NFL player, whoever it might be, do you see where I might be going with this? Instead of asking, did you win a medal or did you win a ring? Try asking, what's the most memorable moment of your sporting career? Or what's the highlight of your days competing? Because even the winners and the medalists might surprise you. They might tell you an interesting story about teamwork or friendship or a funny behind-the-scenes moment. Because newsflash, winning isn't what makes us feel fulfilled. Think about it for a second. What makes you feel fulfilled? Isn't it the people around you that bring love and joy into your life? Isn't it that sense of satisfaction you get when you're doing something you love to do and you feel yourself getting better at it? Isn't it that feeling that you're making some small difference in the world or a difference in someone's life? Aren't these the things that really matter? I think they are. Alone, winning is not enough. Winning is a transitory high. But I get why we put so much weight on it, right? I mean, we're all under so much pressure to perform these days. Sure, our athletes and our other high performers, but what about our kids in their smaller arenas, in Little League and Summer League, and not to mention academically? We're all under so much pressure to perform, to reach the pinnacle of whatever we're working towards. But we know that no one wins all the time. No one wins all the time. And we have to work out how we're going to move on the days that we don't win. How are we going to mitigate the messages all around us that winning is the most important thing so that we can continue to set new goals and work towards them? How do we help ourselves work towards new goals on the days that we maybe didn't perform at our best? Well, what I believe we need to do is we need to stop reinforcing that one-track way of seeing success only in the gold and only in the wins. Because people perform at their best when they believe in themselves and they feel confident. So how do we help with that? Well, I propose that we need to create some new definitions for success, achievement, and failure. So let's get on the same page with some new definitions. I would say seeing success as a journey, not a destination, is a healthy way to look at success. Because we don't achieve our big goals without a lot of small steps on the way. If we can see success as a process, and we can see that we're on the path towards our ultimate goal, then we're being successful. Now for achievement, if I look in the dictionary, I get a thing done successfully, typically by effort, courage, and skill. Now, I like the effort, courage, and skill part. Because if we compete and we leave everything we had in the pool, on the court, on the field, in the boardroom, or even in the classroom, then we can feel a sense of accomplishment. We don't need the wins and the A's every time, as long as we put in effort, courage, and skill. Now for failure. Again, the dictionary, very helpful. It says lack of success. So you can see how if we don't have a healthy definition of success, we can't have a healthy definition of failure. But if we can see success as the small steps, then we can see failures as steps as well, as long as we learn from them. The key is that we look at our performance that maybe disappointed us and we take the lesson from it so that we can take a step forward tomorrow. But if we see failure as simply not winning, and yet we know no one wins all the time, then the competitive person, the perfectionist, is going to beat themselves up and blame themselves when they don't win. And then they don't take the lesson. They leave themselves no space to reflect because they're too busy beating themselves up and blaming themselves, and it harms their next performance. We need to remember for ourselves and for our kids, if we're parents, and for our team, if we're a coach or a manager, that beating someone down is not motivating. It doesn't help anyone. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's actually part of the process. But I get it, because I beat myself up when I came 5th at my second Olympics. Whew. I could not believe I was not on that podium. I had done everything I could to get there, and I didn't get there. I thought I was a loser. I thought I was a failure, and I nearly quit swimming. And then I realized, you know what? This is not helping me. I need to learn from my experience. I need to forgive myself, and I need to reframe my results if I want to move on in a healthy way. Now, these ideas that I'm talking about success and failure, they're not new. Researchers, including Carol Dweck, the renowned motivational psychologist, they've been researching these concepts since the 1970s. And Carol Dweck's book on growth mindset has been read and talked about for almost 2 decades. But if society continues to bombard us and our kids with the messages and the accolades and the payouts only for winning, we need to fight back, because it's our mental health that's paying the price. We're seeing higher rates of depression, anxiety, suicidality amongst elite athletes, high-level business executives, college students, youth. All of these groups have seen a worsening in their mental health. And the research shows, and I believe, that the pressure that society is putting on us to perform is a part of that problem. So I propose, for our well-being and for the sake of the next generation, that we unlearn this winning is everything mentality and that we replace it with some healthier definitions of success and failure. Let's see success in the small daily displays of effort, courage, and skill. Let's see failures as an opportunity to learn. And let's raise a generation that sees effort, resilience, and growth as real success, because the last thing you want to do is wait until you turn 50 to be proud of yourself. Thank you.